Hey y'all, Game Methuselah. Well, happy holidays. We're getting into that season, coming up to Thanksgiving, so I hope you guys will all be getting together with your family and, well, gaming. Eating's good too, and getting together and finding out what people are doing is great, but I hope you're having fun at the same time, because you guys know that's what I plan to do. Now, I've been really busy writing the Albion Bestiary right now and how to create magical items for my game Enlightened. Now, it's on d9-games.itch.io. Shameless plug. I apologize for that, but I suppose I should do that since obviously we'd like to see people looking at it. If you don't have any cash, but you're interested in maybe just checking it out, go online, look at our alpha or beta. That was the playtest stuff we've been working on. We have a finished copy so much, but we're adding to it. We're about to put a second edition of it out and just keep adding to it so the people who have it can update their rules and play with the current stuff. I want to talk to you about the state of the hobby. Now, I've stayed away from this because really, quite frankly, it's boring. And second of all, I think most of you have already heard my position and know what it is. But a lot of people are talking about it. And I will tell you from my perspective, I am very worried. Couple factors. One, I've been talking to a lot of women, especially women who play RPGs. I ran into one today. I was down getting our bread for an event, and this woman had a Critical Role shirt on. So I asked her, I said, hey, what RPG are you playing? And she kind of looked at me because I think she's figuring, why is this old guy talking to me about role-playing games? She has no idea that I've been obviously doing this for 50 years, owned SCGA and Coastal Hobbies, 2 retail stores. We had Tournament Center. We had in-store gaming before pretty much anybody did. I did a pre-release for Wizards of the Coast Magic the Gathering. We ran their Pro Tour for years down in Southern California. We were really involved. And, of course, lots of RPG. Now, what worries me the most is what's going on. I want to bluntly say, I don't think the people at Hasbro love you. I think that they're looking to maximize their economy, and I understand that. My friend Matt Coville, who runs MCDM, is going to be doing the same. They're trying to maximize their Kickstart and get a really excellent product out there for you to play. But for those of you out there who understand this, what's going to eventually happen is this is going to go very much like computer games. It's all going to be online, and people will be playing it, like a computer game, sitting in their underwear at home playing with their friends on Zoom. It's fun. It's good. I do it. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. I've been playing computer games since there were computer games, back when Pong was a big thing. But the thing about RPG role-playing games, especially fantasy role-play, but all of them, whether you're playing Call of Cthulhu or, Vampire or this young, and having a good time with all of these, if you are playing modules, and you've heard about my bench, I don't think you understand that you are missing a great component of the game. And what worried me about that is that I don't see a lot of women playing in groups. Most of the groups I now see are all guys. There might be a lone woman in the group, like our group, our Monday night group with Mark running it. We do have one woman playing it. She's really a good player, super smart. She brings a raptor. She plays the game, but there's a factor, I think, that happens because I played it with my wife and I've played it with some friends, and a lot of women, not all of them, my friend Maria has more than likely the best at doing the min-maxing of characters and producing things that are really nasty, but she stays with the concept of enjoying the story. And I think sometimes now, with the current way role-playing is run, everybody's min-maxing. Now, I'm a min-maxer, so I understand it completely, but once the game starts, my attitude is get into the character and then just play it the best you can, but don't look at it like this is the best spell and that's the best weapon and you do this and you do that, because you're missing the whole essence of the game. The other thing is, you need to almost run your own content or, somehow work on that. Now, you've heard me talk about this before because, as I said, no matter how great or badly you play a module, the next module in that series has no idea. But more importantly, I find that when you are playing these modules, people are no longer concentrating on the story. The story almost becomes incidental. Just get me through, give me the magical items, get me the experience, let me move on so I can get to that next level so I can min-max my character. And that's not so great. Now, I think if you want to look at where I think the game is going, play Baldur's Gate 3, which I love. It's beautiful. It's fun. It could be better at being a multiplayer game, but it is workable. It's just difficult because it's kind of more fun playing it by yourself. And of course, that's what I think most people do. The problem is, like all computer games, there's no risk. I'm never nervous. I'm not scared. When I jumped into the place and got into the big fortress where the thousands of orcs were and all the monsters, and I'm battling against the multiple lords who were there. Oh, I got beat. Well, so what? I reboot, I come back, and I do it again. It's not RPG. No matter what I do, like when I ran into the dragon, and I'm thinking, wow, this is good. Oh, wait, I'm dead. It can be really, really tough, but it doesn't matter. There's none of this element of risk that you have with playing an RPG game when it's being run by human beings. Or, if anything else, really my hope is to be run by players creating their own product. And that's what's great. Now, my worry is where all this is eventually going to go, it's all going to end up eliminating this hobby of RPG. Stores will go away. Well, why would they exist? You don't need a hobby shop to go down and buy your rules and your paints and your miniatures and talk to some other people and put your little card up there saying, hey, I run a D&D game. Anybody want to play? Give me a call. Come join my group. I know there's so many online ways to get on and find people. It's great. But again, most people then I find start falling apart and not getting together. Oh, it's inconvenient to drive. I'm just going to zoom in and do whatever. But the hobby starts to die. And it dies in a manner of little cuts. It doesn't seem like the hobby's dying. It doesn't seem like there's a problem. But what eventually happens is places like the Game Chest that just opened up here where I live in Long Beach. Very cool little shop, has everything. Your standard shop, nothing really interesting for me because it's not as hard-nosed. But they have D&D, and that's all they have. Now, there's no Fantasy Trip or GURPS. There's no MCDM's, Matt Colville's rules, that you could see. That I have not seen anything from Critical Role. I think you need to look at the things that are out there. Now, there's some great game systems like Dragon Quest you'll never see. They're now owned by Hasbro. I'm reasonably sure Hasbro will not let them see the light of day to compete with their D&D. But what worries me is more and more it's going to be controlled by your serial payments, your monthly payment on getting your rules online and getting your character generation and character maintenance and all the updates and everything will be done online. So you don't have to do a lot of work. You just come in, play the game, download it, do whatever, and boom, you're there. But there's no game here. And what will eventually happen is there will be no stores there. Now, for those of you who obviously heard me saying I own 2 retail stores, there was maybe some hanky-panky in the business that caused me difficulties. But more importantly, what happens is people want the easiest way. Now, Magic the Gathering really made for a real big growth because that requires you get together and play with people. But nowadays, I find most people are playing online. Even if they're playing live games. We force it, we fight it because, I have a D&D first edition game that I play with a group that plays D&D first, with the THACO and the whole deal. Very interesting, fun, but it requires you pretty much being there in person. You guys all know that the best of the D&Ds, my favorite is 4th edition. I like 4th edition because it was dynamic and different and it, wasn't just plain old D&D. But it had some of its own quirks, and there were things obviously that most people hated about it. But it's the only series that I have all the books for, because obviously when everybody basically said it was the worst game of D&D, stores couldn't sell it, and I was able to buy stuff for $3, $4, $5 a book. So I just kept buying the stuff to have it, and I pretty much have it all. Now, the only other one I have is, of course, D&D Zero, because I have everything, because, that was the only game in town back in the 70s. What worries me again, just like I said, is I don't want to see all that part of the hobby goes. Now, that's just me. It may be inevitable. That part of the business may be the buggy whip to part of the business. There may never be a need for painted miniatures in the future when you have holograms or just cool things, visuals online, and you can play it like you do all the other online games. The problem is it's not the same. And since, again, if you can just stop, run, reboot, that's not the same game either. All you're doing now is just playing a game, not running a campaign or a role-playing event or anything else. Now, again, these are my opinions. I'm not trying to sway you, and unlikely I will, but be aware of that there is something else out there. And if you've not played it, you really should. You should find a way to generate someone who can create live games. Watch Matt Colville's first few videos on just how to create a dungeon. Super simple. I mean, I've been doing it for years. I don't really have a hard time. And we generate all our own content for our game. I don't want it to be any other way. That's why I have it so the players roll all the dice. I don't want it to be about me, and I don't want it to be about, an event. I want it to be about the players so that they can have a dynamic that's different for them. But that's my idea. But what I want you guys to think about is that there is something else out there that you should look into. And don't, like I said, anything else, check all the games that are out there that are allowing you to play, and then immerse yourself in the hobby as much as you want. Some of you might want us to do the art, might want to produce the figures, might want to do drawings and everything else. It's always been a big factor part of it. And the nice thing about it is creating an online story where your players are more important than just the module. Because in a module, your players make no effect on what happens in the outcome of that campaign. None. I mean, there may be some dynamics if the DMs think about modifying or change it, but really the truth is, Module 1, Module 2, Module 3, 16, 18, 20, it doesn't make any difference. The module is going to be the same no matter what your characters have done. And that is not a role-playing campaign. Now, I don't want to bore you anymore with this because, well, you already guys more likely know my opinion. But I wanted to let you know that it is a great time of the year because, it's horribly cold and you're not going to be going out there. I mean, in California, the other night it got down into the 40s. Oh my God, we were freezing in California because most of us don't have heaters and most of us have shirts that are like this thin and a jacket that has holes in it. So it's bad. You can feel sorry for us living here on the West Coast that we have to suffer in the bad weather here. But, it's a good time to be in. It's a good time to be gaming. It's a good time to be with your friends, especially with Thanksgiving here. Have a Thanksgiving and then roll a game. Well, at least that's what I plan to do. So until we have a chance to speak again, get online if you can. Take a look at the videos that myself and D9 Games are putting up on Enlightened and see what we're doing and what we're thinking about. And if nothing else, play something. Get out there and enjoy a game, even if it's a board game. It doesn't matter. Getting together with your friends often, I think, is the best part of gaming. Because as you guys know, almost all of my best friends that I have and I see all the time all came from gaming. Friends that were high school or friends that came from somewhere else, I see them occasionally, maybe not as much as I'd like, but since they don't game, they're not there at that dynamic. So until we have a chance to speak again, fight me, devils, fight for. I hate peace. Everybody have a great Thanksgiving or whatever you celebrate, a great Christmas or whatever you celebrate, but be with friends and try to enjoy the rest of the year. Until we have a chance to speak again, game on.